So what did you miss at Jubilee today? Oh man, you missed Easter. You, well, we missed you. Let me tell you, at 8 o'clock this morning, we were gathered outside in the labyrinth, and there were a lot of people, and somehow it didn't seem cold. And as we celebrated the resurrection, the story of Easter, as we shared communion, a prayer occurred to a member of the gathering. And he didn't actually share it until afterwards, but it summed up the morning beautifully for me. He said afterwards, he said, what I meant to do is I meant to offer a prayer for all those who stood in the shadows so the rest of us could stand in the sunlight. Because when you're outside, there are shadows and there is sun. And those in the shadows were a little colder than those of us in the sunlight. But because they were willing to stand in the shadows, our circle was complete and many could stand in the sun. There's a powerful message in that at 8 o'clock this morning. And then at 10:30, well, Jubilee was packed. It was packed, and we decorated the cross and brought it to life with gorgeous flowers. The kids were magnificent. We invited members of the congregation to join the choir for a spontaneous hallelujah chorus that brought tears to my eyes. I wept from beginning to end. It was powerful and glorious. And then Leanne invited the kids up, and actually anyone who wanted to come up, because she needed help. And as we got up, she invited us to share in a happy dance. And Farrell's music, the song Happy, played through the speakers, and the whole congregation danced. We danced in our seats, we danced in the aisles, we danced up and down, we just danced. And it was glorious. And then Janica sang a gorgeous bass solo from Handel's Messiah, The Trumpet Shall Sound. Art played the piano, and they invited me to play trumpet with them. And I was humbled to be included. And it was so special to me. And I think to the congregation as well, to hear a glorious bass voice, the D trumpet, and the piano sound the glory of resurrection. And then I had the opportunity to preach, and I reminded people of all the churches that I have been kicked out of. Kicked out of church for being overly enthusiastic, for being a doubter, for not fitting in, and sometimes for just being, well, too loving. Things that I learned from the Easter story. The Easter story that reminds us that enthusiasm is important. That doubt is what brings us to actual faith. Doubt is what makes us challenge the way things are and make things better. And that love is the message of Easter. Love wins. No matter who we put on the cross, love wins. No matter what we say about God, God doesn't give up. Love wins. God wins. No matter how we understand the story of the resurrection, the story of Easter, in the end, love wins. The tomb is empty because death is not the final answer. The end is not the end. Defeat is never in the cards when we love. And as hard as it is sometimes, we are given hope. And if we keep loving, it comes around. And it does. And I reminded people of some of those times, some of those instances where we've seen it come around. And we recognized that the power of Easter lies with us. We need to share it. And so as we concluded the service, I kicked everybody out of church. I kicked everybody out of church because the story of Easter, the promise that love wins, the promise of new life cannot be contained inside a church. It couldn't be contained inside a tomb. It certainly cannot be contained by anybody's rules or expectations. It needs to burst forth. It needs to be shared with a world that is hungry and ready. And so I invited people as I invite you now to go forth and share your enthusiasm, share your doubts, and share your love, because in the end, love wins. Easter is true. I guess what happened this morning is we recognize that Christ is risen. Christ is risen indeed. And resurrection happens. It's happening right now. That's what you missed today at Jubilee. Hopefully we get to see you next week. God bless.